Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hare Om Tat Sat. So we are lucky. Today it's saying that it's going to do the live streaming without any hassles, which is pretty welcome. So let's start. We'll do a very quick revision of the verses that we did yesterday, but which couldn't be live streamed because we have already discussed at length. It's for the ones who could not attend the classes, and therefore I take about 5-7 minutes to wind it up as we progress to the substantive verses, starting with the verse number 50s. Soy ityadi vakyeshu virodhat tad idantayoho. So, this Lakshana vritti is a particular linguistic function. This is a methodology to reach at the artha or the destination or the intended object that you are trying to explain. Object here is not a material object. Object here is what are you intending to express? So I am Devadatta, that little boy that I used to study with in so and so school is now a grown-up person, is my friend, but he is in a corporate house. He's the chief operational officer, whatever you say. Now that little boy, you see, the qualities of this guy, he's a grown-up person, he has 2 children, they are studying or they are doing a job, and he's already a CEO or a senior manager. But he was a little boy who was playing with you and he was very fun-loving. These qualities are mutually contradictory. Remove them. What remains is that Swarupa of Devadatta. That remains. Similarly, the actual point of reference here is the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. Similarly, you meditate on Chaitanya from the sentence Tattvamasi, you are that. So we are jivas, we are limited selves, we obviously don't know everything, we are not everywhere, we don't have all the powers. The Supreme has all them. But then the Mahavakya says, the Veda says, I am that. How can Soham, how can I be that? Then I have to make sense. There should be a secret meaning which I shouldn't misjudge by trying to understand it literally. And what should I do? The advice is Soyam Devadatta. The way when you meet the little boy who was your friend, who is now grown up, you say, that little boy is this Devadatta. In that Bhagatyaga Lakshana. So, or is it, it's also called Jahada Ajahada Lakshana. You take part of it, which is acceptable, reject that, where the congruence between these two, the little boy and the grown-up person. That was a boy, this is a guy. He was a little boy, he's married, he has children. He was studying, this guy is a CEO or something, right? Or a professor. So you remove those qualities, remove them. What is common? Only Swarupa. Similarly, Jiva and Ishvara, you remove avidya upadhi. And from Ishvara, the Maya upadhi. What remains? Pure consciousness. That you try to identify with, that meditate. That is what is Lakshita here. That is what the Veda is trying to teach. It says Tattvamasi, you are that. They are not trying to literally equate a human being with Supreme Self. No. In what sense they're equating? There is no equation. Whenever you're talking about equation, you're talking about 2 different objects. There is no equation. There is only one undivided, unified reality, and that is pure consciousness. And we are advised to meditate on that. That is all it's saying. Tyagena bhagayor eka ashrayo lakshyate yatha. So when you remove the contradictory qualities, what remains, that pure consciousness, that is what you need to know. The way in the example, Soyam Devadatta, we are focusing on the Devadatta. That is not about his being a man or a grown-up person, he's very fat, he was a little boy. Remove them. These are upadhis. Same guy was a boy, now he has a different upadhi, is Shriman, because he has a wife. Or Sri Yukta, you say, right? So, a girl, you write Sobhagyavati because he's married, Srimati, you write all that. I'm not getting into the commentary because you have done it yesterday at length. Then he's saying, now coming to the Drashtantika Tattvamasi, what is the advice? Ma vidye viha evam upadhi parajivayoho akhandam satchidanandam param brahmeva lakhyate. Beautiful advice. How do we do that? Maya vidye. Both are akaranta strilinga, like lata sabda, lata late, lataha. Late. Maya cha avidya cha maya vidye. Maya and avidya, two of whom parajivayoho. Para means Paramatma. Para means that Ishvara. And Jiva means all of us. So God has Maya Upadhi, we have Avidya Upadhi. In Advaita Vedanta, you need to all the time remind yourself. If you say this to a Vaishnava or Shaiva or anything, they will slap. There is no Upadhi, nothing. He is Supreme Self. They will say he has Swatantra Sakti and Kashmiri Shaivism. We are not going to die. So Maya and Vidya are Upadhis because there is something superior, something ineffable, something which permeates both these apparent realities, these two names, Jiva and Ishvara. There is something even superior, thinner, finer, very difficult to meditate on, which is pure consciousness. And that pure consciousness, there is no Ishvara, there is no Jiva, there is only without any name and form, without any qualities. These are for us to make sense. God is very kind, we say. In the Supreme Self, there is no kindness, there is no hatred, there is no love, there is no jealousy. He's beyond all these qualities. That is that nameless, formless. It's very difficult to explain it in words. This is something which we can, the more and more we turn inward and meditate and imagine, maybe we'll get a hang of it. But as we proceed, Panchadashi will help us meditate on that Tattva. Maya vidye vihaya evam upadhi, that is dvivachana. These two upadhis of Jiva and Ishvara, vihaya, discard them. Akhandam sachidanandam param brahmeva lakhyate. That is what is through Lakshana Vritti in Tattvamasi, that Sachidananda Swarupa, that is what is being hinted at, intended to be explained. Now, this was the logical argumentation. It's very meaningful, but a little difficult in the sense because their language, their categories are different. Okay, we have to tolerate. Whenever you switch a new subject or you pick up a new subject, you remember some new concepts, some new rules are going to come. And then we have to tolerate that and then familiarize. It's very difficult at the beginning. Slowly and slowly, we make sense of it, right? Like, for example, when we get into the school, we are doing arithmetic and then algebra came, and when we entered into trigonometry, a lot of things were topsy-turvy. What is this cosine and sine and all that? You remember? Similarly, Nyaya logic, the language of Nyaya is very difficult. So we will make sense of it in a very simple way. So in the verse number 49, the Siddhanti, Panchadasikara, is imagining what could be the doubt or challenge from whom? The challenge from the Nyaya Shastravit. He will ask a question. He's saying, you are doing Lakshana Vritti, right? Lakshana Vritti, Jaganya Vritti, they say, it's not the best thing to do. But for lack of a proper way to use a word which can directly denote it, you are using a set of words, a linguistic function you are adopting to connote it, to intend that this is what it means. Gangayam Goshaha, the house is on the Ganges. That means it's actually on the banks of the Ganges. That is how they explain. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel and back. We have already discussed it. Now here, the question that is coming our way from the Purva Paksha. Purva Paksha is a defense lawyer. He'll always challenge whatever you're saying. I was reading today in Buddhism and I loved it. And this has huge implication for all of us in our sadhana life. Somewhere, there is a sentence that Satrur Guru Riva, your enemy is like your guru. Why? He challenges you. He puts you into difficulty. He becomes an adversary, right? Even in our lives, we face a lot of adversities. Actually, adversities have made what we are today. It's essentially because we have struggled and fought with adversities, no? In all our individual lives. And you will always only remember those years and days of your life where there was a big challenge and you had dealt with it. And we make stories of it. We celebrate it, isn't it? Individually or as a nation, as a country, as a company, we do that. This is how we are of it. Therefore, Satrur Guru Riva. Now, this is what exactly we are doing here. In the Vedantic tradition, we always have a counter, somebody who poses a question to you. That is called Purva Paksha. And he is not physically there. Based on the academic debates and different philosophical positions, which are not necessarily supportive of your stance, they are not supportive of what you are saying, the Shastrakas will accommodate that question in their text, saying that if you are asking this, this is my answer. They anticipate that question and then they answer it. That is what is going to happen here. So he's saying, Prathama Pakshe Dosama. He's saying that Vikalpa you are doing. You see, if you are doing any Lakshana, you are doing Lakshana of what? Is it Sabikalpa or Nirvikalpaka? What is Sabikalpaka? What is Nirvikalpaka? Nirvikalpa means absolutely there are no attributes. There is nothing definable about it in a very simple language. And Sabikalpaka means, yeah, there are attributes and therefore Sabikalpaka, there could be alternatives according to which you can describe it. How do you do Lakshana? If there is no alternative possible, then why do you do Lakshana? There should be 2-3 alternative meanings possible. Therefore, you are writing a set of words so that the reader or the person who is in conversation with you is kind of, you're doing a bit of hand-holding to help him reach there, that meaning. No, that is what is the point of reference here. Therefore, he's explaining in a very nice, beautiful way what he's saying. Sabikalpasya lakshyatve lakhyasya syadavastuta nirvikalpasya lakshyatvam nadrishtam nasa sambhavi. Are you doing Lakshana Vritti of something which is Sabikalpaka or Nirvikalpaka? Is it Sabikalpaka or Nirvikalpaka? He's saying, do you know what, my boy? I'm going to trap you. This is called Ubhayataha Pasaraju Nyaya. Devil in the deep sea. You go this way, devil will catch you. You go the other way, you'll drown in the deep sea. You have no option. Yeah. In YouTube, sometimes you watch those small videos. If you're watching National Geographic Wild or something, right? Those wildlife, Animal Planet, you'll always find a situation which is very familiar to us as human beings, where there is an impala or a deer or anything, it jumps into the water because there's a tiger chasing it or a leopard chasing it. The moment it jumps into water, is trying to swim through that river or pond or whatever, there is a crocodile waiting for it. It stays in water, it cannot swim. The crocodile is going to have breakfast. If it comes onto the shore, you have the leopard waiting for him. He has no options left. So basically, he has to jump here and there. He's going to die anyways. Very difficult to accept it. That is a situation the Purva Pakshi is now posing to the Vedanti. And what is that challenging question? He's posing this Ubhayataha Pasaraju Nyaya. Sabikalpasya lakhyatve lakhyasya syad avastuta. If the Advaita Vedanta view is what Brahman is nirvikalpa, is nishkriya, nirguna, all that is without any attributes, without any adjectives. It is that thing, it's isness. There's no predicate. There's nothing to describe it. We will make all these descriptions in training the mind to reach that consciousness where we would not need any language, where we will not, it's not Vishaya. It's not, Brahma Jnana is not Brahmana Jnana. It's not Jnana of Brahman, no. Brahma, that itself is Jnana Swarupa, Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Brahma ka Jnana, knowledge of Brahman, Because it's not like physics, chemistry, and biology where there is a knower and there is a known and there's a process of knowing. That whole prakriya, that whole process starts. We start with that, but we end with that ineffable pure consciousness where everything dissolves. What remains is what is fundamentally true, but there'll be no words to describe it because you will not be speaking. That cannot be expressed in words. Brahman is avachya. Therefore, he's saying, if you admit that Brahman is savikalpaka, then you are doing Lakshana Vritti, fine, no problem. But do you know, you have agreed with me that Brahman is savikalpaka means it has attributes. The alternative ways in which it can be described, it has a few qualities and attributes. Then it is mithya. Because you have been telling me in the Upanishads, Sadeva Swamya idamagra asid ekam eva advitiyam na sat na asaduchyate. You have been saying all these words to me. That is perfectly one only. The moment you say that is savikalpaka, that oneness is damaged, compromised. So it becomes avastu, means it becomes mithya. It's not paramarthika satya anymore. First line. Second line, nirvikalpasya lakhyatvam na drishtam. Something which has no name, no form. Where do you want to go? I don't know. I want to go somewhere. Where? I don't know. How do you lead him? There has to be a destination. He has to say, no, I want to go to a hospital. I want to go to the mall. I want to go to a temple. I want to go and meditate. Is there a river nearby, or is there a hill station nearby? It's very hot. Then somebody can help him or guide him. I want to go on a tour program where, it's like a place where I'll feel very good. No, where? You want to go to a hotel? No. I don't know where I want to go. There's no such description. If Brahman is nirvikalpa, then how do you do Lakshanamriti to reach there? Any set of words will not take you there because you're yourself saying it is free from any attributes. So with words, where are you trying to reach? That is the argument. Beautifully done. Lakshyatvam na drishtam. Where? In samsara. There has to be some particular destination you want to reach. Na cha sambhavi yuktapi yuktyapi na sambhavaha. It's not possible even logically to imagine that there is such an entity which we can understand through Lakshana Vritti using a few words, which is undefinable. It's a wastage of time. Okay? Therefore, he's saying, Nama jatyadina rupena sahavartate iti savikalpan. Nama jati, it has a name, it has a category, class of things, all that. Tasya lakhyatve vakyena buddhyatve. If that is what you are trying to explain, doing Lakshana Vritti, lakhyasya vakyarthataya, then lakhya, you will have a vakyartha soyam devadattaha, or you will say something about Brahman. If that is the case, then it will become false because you have admitted it is savikalpa. If you say nirvikalpa, he says nirvikalpasya nama jatyadina rahitasya, which is free from any name, any category, any class, then lakhyatvam na drishtam loke nuakapi drishtam. I haven't seen. Have you seen anyone discussing Lakshana Vritti for something which is almost non-existence? You're saying nirvikalpa. How do you reach there using a few definitions, few adjectives? You can't go there. Na cha sambhavi upapadyamapi na bhavati. Even logically, you cannot prove it. Okay. Now, this was the main interesting, very loaded, pregnant verse that we discussed yesterday. But we will do it in little length today. Vikalpo nirvikalpasya savikalpasya va bhaved. The Siddhanti is saying, okay, my boy, I'll explain to you. The question you raised is a very good question. And you can kill me, I have no problem. But do you know, I can raise that question about every philosophical category or question that, or definable thing that you have in your Nyaya Shastra. Like, for example, you have a word called dravya. Right? You have a word called guna. You have a word called kriya. These are all concepts. None of it you can define. I can ask you the same style of question. Before I go to the commentary, I'm just making it very simple. I mean, let's start with something that we see in life. So you are narrating your life. Ab sunao, you are meeting a very old friend of yours, and that old friend says, Ab sunao, kya chala, kaise hua? नहीं यार, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में खत्म हुआ पढ़ाई, उसके बाद चला गया, I joined a job, and then after 3 years, I got married to my wife. Now let's stop there. He got married to whom? I got married to my wife. She's my wife. I got married to her, my wife. Now the question is, he got married to his wife. Was she his wife when he got married? Whom did you get married to? My wife. Really? Was she your wife? No. So you got married to somebody who is not your wife. The moment you say, no, she's someone other than, so then who is she? You got married to someone else. Then you look at who is your bhabhi or sister-in-law and laugh. He's telling he got married to someone else. He didn't get married to you. That poor lady has gone to bring snacks and coffee for you. I'm sorry, it sounds like patriarchal. But if she's, I'm just setting a normal kind of a situation. So she's trying to be good to you, or she's talking to your wife and she's arranging snacks and coffee for you. Or if it's dinner time or lunch time, she's arranging it. And then you are chatting up. And then you call her, Bhabhi, do you hear what this guy is saying? He got married to someone else, he's saying. If she doesn't know logic, she will really become very angry with him. Really? Did he hide anything from me? Or you may all laugh. This is a logical inconsistency which we cannot remove. But we do this kind of use of language in our everyday lives. What are you cooking today? Kya banaoge? What are you going to make for me? I'm going to make fried rice for you. Oh, really? You will make fried rice for me. Look at the sentence. If fried rice is already there, what do you make for me? What are you cooking? I'm cooking rice. But if you're speaking in Hindi or you're speaking in Bengali, kya bana rahe ho? Bhat paka rahe. Bhat. That is boiled rice. So you're cooking boiled rice. Or you're cooking pilau. No. So it's not there, you're using that word. So Vedanta is saying, often we use these kinds of words, and just because you're a logician, if you bring logical challenges like this, life will become very difficult, my boy. That is not the way to go. Please understand. The moment I'm saying there is a Lakshana Vritti, you can make sense of what Tattvamasi means. It refers to that Paramarthika Sattva. It refers to that ineffable truth, that nameless, formless reality, which permeates everything. Then you are trying to trap me using your logic and your language. I don't understand. I can use the same logical tools and techniques you have to trap you, and I'll not let you describe anything which you are describing in your literature, in your science, because they are essentially in Nyaya Sastra, because they say Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhi. So what will have a Lakshana and they'll have a Pramana. They will have a definition. What does that mean? And then what is the Pramana, what is the proof, what is the methodology to reach there? Then they will do Vastu Siddhi. They will prove that point. They're logicians. But the problem is, the kind of tools and techniques you're employing to trap me, I could also use the same tools and techniques. In fact, the great Sriharsha Mishra, one of the greatest, philosophers, he had no views of his own. He only challenged others' views. He was a Vedanti. He said, no philosophy is possible. Any word you use, I'll say how it's impossible to use that word. His purpose is, I'll make it impossible for you to indulge in philosophy and accept that the ultimate reality is beyond all philosophy, which is the Atma Tattva. He wrote that famous book called Khandana Khandakadya. It's a pudding made of refutations of the challenges of the logicians. There's a story that Sriharsha Mishra's father was kind of humiliated in a sabha. You have those Tarka Sabhas, Shastrartha Sabhas in Banaras, and the son took it on him to challenge the logicians. And later on, he wrote that famous book, Khandana Khanda Khadya. It's a very difficult. It's the Brihat Prasthana, and the Vedantis always try to read it. You know, after reading Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, and Gita, they will try to read 3 more books called Khandana Khanda Khadya, and then you have Chitsuki, and then you have another book called Advaita Siddhi of Madhusudana Saraswati. These are all refutations of the counter arguments. We are not going there. We are just giving you a glimpse of what kind of counter questions the Vedanti will ask the so-called Nyaya logicians. One of these is like this. Vikalpo nirvikalpasya vikalpasya va bhaved adye vyahatiranyatra atmasrayadaya. We said, you know one thing, my important. There are different logical fallacies in Nyaya Shastra. One of them is called Atmashraya dosha. Atmashraya dosha is what? You are giving a definition. You are trying to define something. And what you are trying to define, you have a name, right? You're trying to refer that there is a name, that uddesha, and there's a vidya, there's a set of words. That is the dharma. You're trying to. So, for example, who is a cow? They will say sasnadi mat. You have that saf, this which is hanging from their throat, from the neck. So that's the defining quality of the cow. That is how you're going to define. Now, what is a cow? Cow is an animal which has cowness. Does it make any sense? Because you are saying cowness, again it comes, right? You are defining a cow by using the word cow in that explanatory sentence. That is Atmashraya dosha. I'm just trying to tell it in a layman's language. It's not the perfect way to discuss that concept. Just for what is Anonyashraya, Parasparashraya. You are making a premise, then you will have a conclusion. If the conclusion is dependent on premise, and you can deduce it, that's fine. A premise will be deduced from the inference. That is Anonyashraya. You have A leads to B, you are saying. B, no, to justify A, you need B. No, these things don't work. It's Parasparashraya, that is Anonyashraya. Similarly, there is another thing called Anavastha. Then there is regression ad infinitum. It continues on and on. So X is true. Why? Because you will have to presume there is something called X1. Then it will be X2, then X. Then it goes on and on. So you will have another premise. Then the regression process goes on. So 3, and then there is Chakraka, circular argument. He's saying all these faults will be there. In any which way you try to put any category, I'll challenge. You'll see how they beautifully challenge that. The 50th is a little loaded one. The explanations in the next 2 will make it easier for you to grasp. What does he say? He's saying, Vikalpo nirvikalpasya savikalpasya va bhavet. You tell me, you are saying, Lakshana vritti I am doing. If I am doing Lakshana vritti of savikalpaka or nirvikalpaka, these are 2 options I have. If I am doing Lakshana vritti of savikalpaka, my Brahma will become mithya because it will have a few qualities and attributes. If I am trying to Lakshana vritti of nirvikalpaka, I am having vyahati dosha, vyaghata dosha, because it's like you are assuming that Brahma is nirvikalpaka, then you are trying to use a set of words to reach there. Self-defeating. That's what you said. Now you tell me, when you ask me this question, which kind of Brahman you had in your mind? Okay, so I'm asking you this question. Get ready now. What you had in your mind, is it savikalpaka or nirvikalpaka? It's like in table tennis, sometimes you smash the tennis ball and the other guy is smarter than you, he's faster than you, he counter smashes you. That's unimaginable. It becomes sharp. It happens in lawn tennis when you have a quick few moments of volley. Both are doing volley. They're hitting each other. Something like this. This guy just immediately turns around and poses the same question to him, saying, no, no, okay, fine. I am having a problem. You tell me, you ask me this question that you are doing Lakshana Vritti, so you had something in mind. Tell me, is it Kalpaga or Nirvikalpaga? I am finding fault with you. Adyevahyatryanyatra anavastatmasrayadayah. So I broke these words, did something so that it's easily understandable. But he's saying Adye, if you say Nirvikalpa, then I'm doing Vikalpa of Nirvikalpa, same problem, right? Which you are attributing to me is also with you. Sabikalpasya va Nirvikalpasya Lakhyatvam, that Lakshana I'm doing of Sabikalpa or Nirvikalpa. You asked that question and found fault with me. Fine, granted. Yo Vikalpaha Tvaya Kritaha. That is the kind of alternatives you gave me and you trapped me at both the ends. Fine. Then he's counter questioning him. Saking Nirvikalpasya. The question that you asked me is about the Nirvikalpa Brahma. Uta Savikalpasya Bhave. You are asking about what? Your question is about what? What are you asking about? Is it Savikalpaka or Nirvikalpa? Adye prathame pakshe vyahatihi tvaya ukta vyaghata eva. If you are saying Nirvikalpa, the problem you are raising about me applies to you. Juhame nasti. I don't have a tongue. How do you say that? If you don't have a tongue, you cannot say you don't have a tongue. If you say I don't have a tongue, that means you can't speak at all. Forget about being able to say I don't have a tongue. So he's saying that is vyaghata eva anyatra ditye pakshe anavastha deha. These three dosas will come: anavastha, anunyashraya, and atmashraya. He'll explain. It is a bit of hair splitting here. Tatha savikalpasya vikalpa ityatra. When you say savikalpaka vikalpa, you know how he's trapping him? Savikalpaka vikalpa. Savikalp kya hai batao? Explain to me what is savikalpa. Vikalpena saha savikalpa, right? Sapatnikaha, patnya with the wife. Similarly, I am asking you. Vikalpena saha savikalpa. So savikalpasya vikalpa. So they are already savikalpa means vikalpena saha. Vartateti savikalpaha. Tasya vikalpaha. So savikalpasya vikalpaha, he's saying one is trityanta. There is a third case, tritya vibhakti. Vikalpena saha. And then vikalpena saha vikalpaha, savikalpaha. Ye wo, is there one word or that two different? If they are two different, then what do you mean by vikalpena saha, by using the same word? And if it's the same thing, then logically you cannot you have one noun and you have one adjective. The adjective explains the noun, qualifies. If the adjective is same as the noun, what does it qualify? What does it explain? So these are some philosophical questions they are raising. You don't need to dwell too much into it. But later on, if you take interest, you can get into it. But I will explain to you. Tathahi savikalpasya vikalpa ityatra vikalpena saha vartate ityatra. Savikalpa means it exists with a vikalpa. Ityatra tritiyanta vikalpa padena. The vikalpa pada has a tritiyanta vikalpena saha. Prathamanta vikalpa padena sa. And then you have prathamanta vikalpa padena sa. Then vikalpena saha vartate iti savikalpasya vikalpaha. That we are saying. Prathamanta, so second one is prathamanta vikalpa padena sa. Ekaiva vikalpo avidiyate dvova. You are referring to one vikalpa or there are two vikalpas. Savikalpasya vikalpaha, you are saying vikalpena saha yaha vartate tasya vikalpaha. Yaha pe to vikalp, those are, you are using the word multiple times. At least two I can hear. Now they are about one vikalpa or there are two vikalpas here. He is giving same ubhayatah pasarajunya. Eka eva chet, if it's only one vikalpa you are talking about, swayam eka eva vikalpa ashraya visheshanataya ashraya. Ashraya visheshanataya. There is the king is kind, Dayalu Raja. Dayalu is the Visheshana. Uska ashraya hai Raja Sabda. The Daya thing exists in the king. He's a kind king, right? And you are saying Vikalpena Sahavatati, you are saying one. So ashraya and Visheshana ka ashraya, the ashraya of Visheshana, that adjective will dwell, that dharma will dwell in something, that name. In that one only you are saying. Vikalpa ashraya Visheshanataya Bhyaga. Vikalpo avidiyate dova. If you saying one, only one, tad ashrito vikalpasched tada atmashrayata. So one was refuted. The second one is what is atmashraya dosha. Okay. If I tell you who is a man or who is a human, and you will define human is one who has humanhood. What did you explain? In English or in Western philosophy logic, they call it tautological. You're just repeating it. You're not explaining anything. Because you said it, human. Who is a human? Yeah, I will explain what is a human. Human is one who has humanhood. It doesn't mean anything to me. You have not given me any new information with which I make sense of the word called human. In layman's language, try to get it. This is what is atmashraya dosha. Okay? You are using the definition, the word you are trying to explain. You are using that word to explain in your explanatory set of words. Okay? That is atmashraya. Atmashrayata. If you say there are two, this vikalpa are different. Tritiyanta sabda nirdishtasyapi vikalpasya vikalpa rupatvat tad ashrayasyapi sabikalpatvat tad visheshana bhuta vikalpah kim prathamanta sabda nirdishta eva vikalpa utatabhyam anyaha. I tell you what are the challenges making. He's a very smart guy. And this particular explanation is actually taken from the great, Sriharsha Mishra. And this is also repeated in the Advaita Siddhi. The very sophisticated logical argument. What he's trying to say, Vikalpena sahavartate iti savikalpaha, tasya vikalpaha. You are saying all that. And there are two. This vikalpa, that Visheshana, is different vikalpa from the Vishishta vikalpa. Visheshana Vishishta vikalpa is different from the Visheshana vikalpa. Okay, agreed. And for explaining this vikalpa, do you have another Visheshana to explain it? You will be forced to agree that there has to be something else which defines the vikalpatva of this vikalpena saha. There has to be another vikalpa to define this avikalpa. There will be another vikalpa to define this anavastha dosha. Regression ad infinitum. It goes on and on. Okay? Anavastha dosha. There is no end to this argument. So, vikalpa, then he's saying adya anunyashrayata, and there are two paraspara ashrayata dosha. If you argue, then you have this anunyashraya. How is explaining? Vikalpena saha vartate iti savikalpaha, then you have vikalpaha. So, to explain savikalpa, you will make use of this vikalpa. And then to make understanding of Visheshana, Vishishta vikalpa, you are using the Visheshana vikalpa. And to understand the Visheshana vikalpa, you are using the Vishishta vikalpa. That is anunyashraya dosha. Therefore, you have no answer. And then Chakrak also, circular logic. Okay. So, this is how he is saying, now we'll go forward. It's a beautiful challenge. You just turn it around. Na kevalam atra eva idam dushanam. This is not the only fault you have, my boy. Please be careful. We are having something serious to understand today. And what is it? Apitu sarvatra evam vidha vikalpa purvakam dushanam prati ityaha. He's saying, do you know one thing? You thought you have invented a very sophisticated logical tool to hang me, right? You don't know. I can use that same noose to hang you, and I'll give you. That is what Sriharsha Mishra says. He says, forget about Vedanta, all the logical refutations I have made, you can actually learn and perfect them in order to defeat anyone. If you want to do arguments, I'm telling you what are the tools of argument. I'm going to give you sophisticated skills. And that's a very profound book. So, Prasaratityaha, what is he saying in the verse number 51? Idam guna kriya jati dravya sambandha vastusu samam tena swarupasya sarvam etad iti shatam. He's saying, my boy, I'll help you get out of this problem, provided you are good enough to listen to me and not pose these futile logical challenges. Do you know the kind of challenge that I made to you right now? If I ask questions like the way you ask me, you will not be able to define anything like guna. Guna is a quality, right? Okay. Someone will say, bitter gourd is bitter. What is bitter gourd? The gourd that tastes bitter is bitter gourd. That is what is Atma Shreyata. So we are not going there. We are saying guna will exist in something which has gunavan, gunavati, or not. Quality exists in something which has quality or not. The moment you say yes, same problem comes. Anavastha, Ananyashraya, Atmashraya, all problems will come. The moment you say quality will exist with something which has quality, all three problems will come. The moment you say no, then quality will exist in something which doesn't have quality. So, you know how they try to solve this problem, the logicians? They say that when, okay, so this book was made. So this Bhagavad Gita, what they do is, or let's say that this particular bookmark, the moment it is created, in the first second, first kshana, it is nirvikalpaka. It is not having any guna. It has qualities in the next moment, because otherwise they will not be able to explain what is dravya. Anything which is guna ashraya, the gunas, you know that dravya is guna. What is dravya? They will say guna ashraya. Tattva is the quality of dravya. It will have qualities. Now, guna will enter into it in the second moment of its creation. The first moment, it's not having any qualities. That will be challenged. But how do you explain cause and effect? If you did something, a painting was made, you did it. Paintingness of that painting was created when? After it was created. So the quality is actually a product. The cause has to be there before. Therefore, they have to imagine a certain fraction of a second where the dravya is there without guna. That is how they explain their logical position. He is now saying guna word also you cannot use. Why? Where will guna or quality exist? In something which has quality or not having quality. Either way, you'll be trapped. Now, kriya, action. Action will exist in something which is active or something which is inactive. Ask yourself. I'll ask you that question. The moment you say, no, I'm saying inactive, then how can action be there? They will say, no, inactive. No, it's already active. So why does it need action? And then same problem will come. Okay. That is how he's saying guna, kriya, jati. Jati is what? Class of things, a certain common quality. Like you have jati like manushyatva, all kinds of categories that we assign to different objects. This jati, like you have cowness, gotva, and manavatva, purushatva, stritva. These are all jatis there, right? Now he's saying same thing. I will say purushatva will be there in a purusha. It's already a purusha. If you say no, purushatva will be there in something where there is no purusha, or really purushatva rahita, then purushatva will be there. All that same logical fallacy will trap you. Then dravya, then sambandha. Sambandha will be there in sambandhi or not. That question will also be asked. And then vastu here refers to samavaya. The Samavaya Sambandha is relationship of inherence. So a girl is there. The girlness or womanhood exists in the woman in a relationship of inherence. It's a Nitya Sambandha, they would say. So Dravya and Guna will stay in Dravya in Samavaya Sambandha, in a relationship of inherence. They have a category. And they'll say Samavayas to Eka Eva. That's only one. Then, depending on the situation, they appear all different. Then Samavaya is also multiple in certain logicians, later-day logicians. But we are not entering there. He's saying, I'll refute all your logical categories. I'll make your life miserable. You cannot anymore write any book. You cannot make any arguments, because it will be like I'm chopping your tongue. What's the tongue? Your language. You cannot anymore use your logical language. Therefore, samam tena swarupasya. Therefore, let's agree, both of us. When you're saying guna, you're talking about gunasya swarupa. Swarupa, dravya, jati. Okay, we agree. Don't say that everything can be defined. Similarly, when I'm talking about Brahman, I'm saying Tattvamasi, I'm doing Lakshana Vritti. This is something already Veda has mentioned. That Brahman cannot be defined in words. Same time, Veda uses a few sentences to hold our hands and lead us towards a greater understanding of this reality. These words are not, there is no correspondence theory of truth here. You know what is correspondence theory of truth? There is A. So whatever you mention, it corresponds to that reality that you are referring to. That the sentences that are written about Brahman, there is no correspondence theory, because that particular thing you are talking about is beyond words, is beyond all description. Because if these are real and that is real, there is Dvaita, there is duality. Veda says no. Neha nanaste kinchana, it's only one. What are we doing all this satsang and philosophy about Brahman? Is it real? They will say it's all false. Why are you doing it? If it's all false, what are you doing it? No, this is how we graduate to that level. The beautiful way when we can make sense of it, that you remember as small children, we had different kinds of counting tools that we're using, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Children are given different kind of tools. Let's imagine that they're using to do some earlier mathematics. They're using, say, some glass balls they're using. Yeah. So this is 3, this is 4, you count, that is 7. But once you grow up, you learn arithmetic. Are you carrying those tools with you anymore? No. 3 and 4 are different from 3 fingers and 4 fingers. You learn. Similarly, in Vedanta, when we graduate at our ultimate level, we are no more dependent on the language which helps us reach there. We discard them. No, we don't discard. We sort of overgrow. We sort of go beyond it. We do discard nothing. They become any more not fruitful. So we just sort of go beyond that. We don't carry that anymore with us. To teach, to explain to others who are in the path, of course. Once we have reached, and earlier they were carrying maps, the explorers. They already know, familiar with the new island after they have gone there. They have used the map. Once you're there, you don't need the map. But you don't throw it, because you can help somebody. Sometimes you can check, but you know the roads. It's a little like that. Let's look at the commentary and move forward. We have still 10 minutes, we can move forward. Idam vikalpa dushana jatam guna kriya jati dravya sambandha vastusu. Now the commentator writes that the footnote, atra vastu vadam vaishesika mata vaishesika sammata vishesha padartha param. Vastu means vishesha, itara vyavartaka. What is vishesha? Vishesha is a quality which inheres in anything. Nitya dravya vritti, they say, in the nitya dravyas, but I'm not going there right now. We don't have the time. But vishesha, you just imagine that it will be there only in paramanus or atoms. It will not be there in the karya rupas, which has taken names and forms. For them, atoms are eternal objects out of which God has made use of atoms to create this whole universe. Even in Pralayavastha, atoms don't die. They would be there. That is what they say. Idam vikalpa dushana jatam guna kriya jati drabya sambandha vastushu gunadi sambandhanteshu panchasu vastusu samam. I can say, in your case also, these faulty argumentation can be applicable to you. Tatha hi gunaha kim nirguna vartate athava gunavati. Tell me, guna will exist in nirguna or saguna? Tell me, explain. Gunavati means in gunavan, saptavibhakti gunavati. Adya vyagahataha, how can guna be there in nirguna? Okay. Kriya rahite vartate kriyavati va. Kriya will be there, something which is nishkriya or shakriya. Kriyavan, kriyavati, saptavibhakti. So kriya will be there in nishkriya. No, that's not possible. Vyagata. So in kriyavati, all three dosas, logical fallacies will again come. Adya vyaghatah anyatra atmasrayadayah iti. Atmasraya, anunyasraya, chakraka, anavastha, all these four dosas, fallacies will come. It is sarvatra cha evam uhyam. I am not repeating that arguments, but all your logical argumentations can also be a question with the tool that you are trying to threaten me with. No. Idam asaduttaram ched. If you say, no, I'm giving you a faulty answer, this is not the way to argue. Actually, he will say that. Saduttaram iti asankyaha. What is the saduttara I'm telling you? No, I'm giving you the right answer. What is that? Tena iti. So he's saying, samam tena swarupasya sarvam etad iti ishyatam. Therefore he's saying, tena evam vikalpasya asangatatvena. Vikalpa, what he is saying is asangatva, incongruent. Etad gunadikam sarvam swarupasya iti ishyatam. When you are talking about kriya, we're talking about kriya swarupa, guna swarupa. Don't further analyze how can you use the word guna and kriya. Then you are trapped, I am trapped. Therefore, let's accept them with the face value, accept them. Gunadaya sarve vastu swarupe vartante iti aviprayah. So all these words you are using, they swarupataha de vartante. Then we are going further. Then he'll conclude his argument. Then we will go to the next week. We'll go to a beautiful thing. How to do Vedanta Shravana will start. Bhavatu anyatra prakriti kim ayatam ityata aha. Okay, let it be there. So how do you proceed? What's your question? What do you have in your mind? This is explaining. Vikalpa tad abhavabhyam asangsprustatmana अस्पृष्टात्मा वस्तुनि विकल्पितत्व लक्ष्यत्व संबंधात्यास्तु कल्पिताः. You see what he's trying to say. Before I explain word by word, I'm just telling you the gist. All the philosophical words and languages we are using are kalpita. Kalpita means imaginary. Why so? In the dream world, you see a lot of things. They don't have any fundamental reality. When you wake up, no, they still make sense. You remember the dream. But are they real? No. Similarly, we are doing vyavaharika. We are using vyavahar of language to explain the world. One example Vedantis give. When you say this is not a snake, referring to a rope, this is not a snake. If I say this is not a snake, it makes sense because it has a different quality, snake has a different quality. So if I say this is not a snake, I am trying to prove that snake doesn't exist. So absence of snake is evident to me. This is a bookmark. This is not a snake. When I actually look at a rope and I say, this is not a snake. There was no snake. So what are you trying to refute? Was there a snake? There was no snake. You saw a snake, pratitika sarpa. An apparent snake, you are denying it. Is that so? How did you see it? This is a snake you have been saying. It is appearing as a snake. How can you say this is not a snake? So what he's trying to say is argument and counter-argument, and all that can go on and on. But in the rope, neither there was absence of snake, nor there was presence of snake. There is a joke about it, so I want to say this before we conclude. Let's first conclude it, then I'll mention that we have another 5 minutes. Vikalpa tad abhavabhyam. Vikalpa is there, and there is vikalpa abhavaha. That is the argument that we are having right now. Asamsprista Atma Vastuni, the Atma Vastu is absolutely not touched by this question of Vikalpa and Vikalpa Bhava. Sabikalpaka, Nibrikalpaka, all these language games you play, enjoy it. They have nothing to do with the Brahman. Brahman is beyond all that. Vikalpitattva, having alternatives, the quality of a Vikalpa is having Vikalpitattva, having alternatives. Attributability of alternatives, Vikalpitatva or Lakshatva, you are using that Tattvamasi. So you are having this Lakshanavritti, and it is the destination point you are trying to understand through this Lakshanavritti. So that Lakshatva, Lakshata, Avachedakatva, that particular thing which defines its being a Lakshata, it is not there in the Brahman. Lakshatva sambandhat yahastu kalpita. For language we are using Lakshanavritti doesn't mean Lakshatavachedakata is there in the Brahman, and therefore there is a dharma. How can you say it's nirguna? Don't ask these stupid questions. This is for our understanding we are doing it. This is nothing real. You know, the best example could be these children, they play, we used to play. There will be a game. It's called, it's called kidnapping the bride or stealing the bride, something like that. Children will play. So one will become a bride. There'll be a little boy who becomes a groom. Then they get married. Then the bahu will sit there, and then she will run back to her parents. In between, people will try to. So it's called bahuchari game. It's there in Bengal, Orissa. Is there any bahu? Is there any groom? These are kids playing. This philosophical argumentation, counter argumentation is saying it's just an imaginary game. We are playing this game for a noble purpose to achieve, which is moksha, that liberation, which will come through self-realization, atma sakshatkara. And that sakshatkara cannot be described in words. Words will not take us there, but words can help us relieve the ignorance in us, remove it slowly, and then become irrelevant themselves. Okay, that is what he's trying to explain. We have a little longer commentary, just 2 minutes. So therefore, I'll just quickly, Vikalpa tad abhavabhyaha, Vikalpena, Vikalpa bhavena cha asangsprishtatva atma vastuni. The atma vastu is neither touched by Vikalpatva or Vikalpa abhavatva. Sangsparsha rahite Paramatma vastuni, that Paramatma vastu, Vikalpa tattva lakhyatva sambandhat yaha tatra vikalpitatvam nama sabikalpasya va nirvikalpasya va iti purvoktena vishayikritatvam lakhyatvam lakhanavritya gyapyatvam. We will do the details because we have hit the timeline, and we will do that without any great haste next week when we assemble again. We'll stop here. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Tat Sat. Thank you all. We'll meet again next week.